Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mam Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Pathaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Tunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedais Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasam Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, Guruji. Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Namaste. So, having completed the 7th chapter, we will now enter into the 8th chapter of the Gita. The 8th chapter is primarily based on the last 2 verses of the 7th chapter. We saw in the 7th chapter, in the last 2 verses, Krishna introduced certain technical words without explaining them to Arjuna. In fact, he introduced 6 terms: Brahma, Karma, Adhyatmam, Adhibhutam, Adhidevam, and Adhiyajnam. And after introducing these 6 terms, Krishna also talked about remembering God at the time of death. And naturally, this creates a curiosity in the mind of Arjuna. Why should Krishna talk about Ishvara Smaranam at the time of death? There must be naturally some significance for that expression. But Krishna will not say something without any relevance. So all put together in Arjuna's mind, 7 questions arise. 6 questions dealing with 6 technical terms. And 7th question dealing with the significance of remembering God at the time of death. And the entire chapter is devoted to answering these 7 questions arising from Arjuna. And by way of answering Arjuna's questions, Krishna introduces the important topic of Upasana, otherwise called Saguna Ishvara Dhyanam. And as we have already discussed, that in the middle section of the Gita, that is from 7th to 12th chapter, Krishna highlights the sadhana of upasana. While in the first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga sadhana is highlighted, in the middle part, upasana is highlighted. And this topic, Krishna deals with in the 8th chapter. And therefore, the chapter begins with Arjuna's questions based on the last 2 verses of the 7th chapter. So with this brief background, we will enter into the 8th chapter proper. I will read the sloka. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhudam cha kim proktam adidaivam kim uchyate. So straightforward questions. Arjuna, the Anvaya is Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna uvacha. Tat brahma kim, adhyatmam kim, karma kim, adibhudam kim proktam, adidaivam cha kim uchyate, he purushottama. So Arjuna uvacha, Arjun said, or Arjun asked, you can translate. Tat brahma kim, what is that Brahman? Adhyatmam kim, what is adhyatma? Karma kim, what is karma? Adibhudam kim proktam, what is said to be adhibhuta? Cha kim uchyate, and what is said to be adidaivam, adidaiva, he purushottama, O best of purushas. So Arjuna asked, what is that Brahman? What is adhyatmam? What is karma? What is said to be adhibhuta? What is said to be adidaiva, O Krishna? Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna asked the following 7 questions based on the verses 29 and 30 of the 7th chapter. First question is Tat Brahma Kim. And Krishna mentioned the term Brahman in the 29th verse, where he said, Te Brahma Tat Tatvit Krishnam. Te Brahma Tat Viduhu Krishnam. There, Krishna used the word Brahman. Therefore, Arjuna wants to know, Kim Tat Brahma, what do you mean by Brahman? Because Krishna has not used this word till now in Bhagavad Gita. First time he is using it. So naturally, Arjuna will ask, what do you mean by Brahman? Similarly, Adhyatmam Kim, what is the meaning of the technical term Adhyatmam, which is also introduced in the 29th verse, second line. Adhyatmam karma chakilam. Therefore, what is Adhyatmam? Question number 2. Then third question, karma kim. What do you mean by karma? Even though it has got a dictionary meaning of action, but technically, what is the significance of the word karma? This is question number 3. The fourth question is Adibhutam kim proktam. Oh Lord, what is the meaning of this word Adibhutam, which occurs in verse number 30 in the 7th chapter? Sadibhutadi daivam. So, Sa adibhutadi daivam. So, adibhutam word he introduced. And then the 5th question, Adi Daivam cha kim uchyate. And what is referred to as Adi Daivam? This word is also introduced in the 30th verse of the 7th chapter. Hey Purushottama. Arjuna is addressing the Lord. So, hey Krishna, please answer these 5 questions. And then 2 more questions are there. And therefore, Arjuna's question continues in the next verse. And we will read. Adiyajna katam kotra dehesmin madhusudhana prayana kale cha katham ज्ञेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः कः अधियज्ञः कथम अत्र अस्मिन् देहे we can supply वर्तते च कथम ज्ञेयः असि प्रयाण काले नियत आत्मभिः हे मधुसूदन is the अन्वय कः अधियज्ञः what is adiyajna katham how atra asmin dehe vartate how does he remain in this body cha katham yeya asi and how are you to be remembered prayana kale at the time of death niyata atma bihi by self disciplined people madhusudana o destroyer of madhu who is adiyajna how does he remain in the body and how are you to be remembered at the time of death by the self-disciplined ones, O Madhusudana? So in this sloka, sixth question, Adiyajnaha kaha? Who is Adiyajna or what is Adiyajnaha? Which is also mentioned in the 7th chapter, 30th verse. Therefore, Arjuna adds another question also. We can call it 6a and 6b. So the question is, what is Adiyajnaha? And there itself he adds a clause, Katham asmin dehe vartate. How does Adiyajna reside in the body? We do not know how Arjuna thought it resides in the body, right? But Krishna has not said anything about that. When Arjuna does not know what is Adiyajna, how does he know it resides in the body? That is a very valid question. The only answer that we can give is perhaps he has heard somewhere and therefore raises the question, how does Adiyajna reside in the body? This is a supplementary question of the sixth one. Because it happens, in our class also. Some people attend some other classes and they have a doubt there and they raise that question here in our satsang. So that is quite natural on the part of any student. It's a good opportunity to get all the clarifications. So that is the 6a and 6b. Then continues the 7th and the final question. And there also he divides it into two parts, 7a and 7b. What is the main question? What is the significance of remembering God at the time of death? That is the main question. Is there any significance at all? And if there is a significance, what is that? That is question number 1. And there itself, question number 2 is, how can a person remember God at the time of death? Even when we are very much alive and breathing, we are finding it difficult to remember God, isn't it? And especially when we sit in meditation, even Saguna Ishwara Dhyanam, we will remember everything except God. So when it is so difficult during normal days, how can I manage to remember God at the time of my death? There's a very nice stotram, Mukundamala stotram. There, King Kulashekara laments. Prana prayana samaye kapavata pittaihi Kanta avarodhana.
प्राणप्रयाणसमये कपवादपित्तैः खण्डावरोधनविधं स्मरणं कुतस्त
Kanta varodhana vidau smaranam kutaste.
कुतस्त
Right. There's a kanta avirodhanam vidau. There are two. So it is truly dual case. Smaranam kutaste. So the question the king is raising is, when all faculties are failing, when my throat, is also getting blocked, how am I to remember the Lord at the time of death? If there is any technique, oh Krishna, teach me the technique also. And that is what is said here, Prayana Kale, at the time of final journey. When we are taking leave of all the near and dear ones. So Prayana Kale here does not mean them going from Chennai to Coimbatore or one place to another. Not a local journey. It is Antima Prayana Kale. Katham Nyayah Asi. How are you to be remembered? Nyayah means here we can take it because Nyayah has got a meaning of knowledge also, how to know. But here we have to take it as the meaning as Dhyayah, how to be remembered. Niyata Atmebihi, by committed people, by integrated people, by people who have got self-control, people who don't worry about all the faculties failing. Because there must be a tremendous control over the mind to remember the Lord at the time of death. And therefore, how can a self-controlled person or self-controlled people remember God at the time of death? And this is the 7th supplementary question regarding Antakala Smarana. Hey Madhusudana. Madhusudana is Sambodhana, addressing the Lord. Hey Krishna, who has destroyed the Asura known as Madhu. Madhu Rakshasa Nashaka Madhusudana. And here also Krishna introduces a very beautiful symbol, Vyasacharya, not Krishna, it was Arjuna's question. Philosophical symbolism. They take the word Madhu as all karmas also. In fact, in Mundaka Upanishad, the word Madhu is used in the meaning of karma phalam also. We will see that when we come Mundaka Upanishad students. And if you take Madhu as all karma, Madhusudana means the destroyer of all Sanchita, Agami and Prarabdha karmas. Therefore, the one who gives moksha. That is the philosophical significance of the word Madhusudana. So, hey Krishna, please answer these questions. Thus, the 8th chapter begins with Arjuna's question, and Lord Krishna has to answer now. He does not have a choice. Serious Vedanta class is going on. If it was a school, then probably we would have had a choice. School, college, exams and all, answer any 4 out of 7 questions, etc. But here Krishna does not have choice like that. He has to explain each and every one. But of course, Krishna knows all the answers, so he has no problem. And because he knows the answers only, he put this bait to Arjuna in the 7th chapter. He knows that beginning of the 8th chapter, Arjuna will ask these questions, so he is fully prepared with the answers. Let us see what Krishna says. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatma Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha Visarga Karma Sangitaha. Anvaya is Paramam Aksharam Brahma Swabhavah uchyate adhyatmam visargah bhuta bhava udbhavakarah karma sangitah. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Lord answered, Paramam Aksharam, the supreme imperishable entity, Brahma is Brahman. Swabhavaha, the self, Uchyate is said to be Adhyatmam, Adhyatma. Visargaha, Visarga here means the sacrificial offering. Bhuta Bhava Udbhavakaraha, which brings about the origins of beings, which brings about the creation. Karma Sanchita is known as karma. So the Lord answered, what did he say? The supreme imperishable entity is Brahman. The self is said to be Adhyatmam, the sacrificial offering which brings about the origin of beings is known as karma. So Krishna begins his reply. First question was, what is Brahman? And Krishna gives the answer, Paramam Aksharam Brahma. The word Akshara means the imperishable principle. Mundaka Upanishad also we have seen this. Naksharati, na nashyati iti aksharam. And the adjective Paramam means the highest, the greatest imperishable principle is called Brahman. And why Krishna is adding the adjective Paramam? If Krishna uses the word Aksharam only, it could be mistaken as an alphabetical letter also. Because the word Aksharam can refer to any alphabetic letter. And that is why initiation into alphabet is called Aksharabhyasa. When the small child, is initiated into reading, writing and all, into the alphabet basically. First Om will be written in a plate, they will take rice. And then some Guruji or some, priest will be officiating. And the small child will be there, 2 years, 3 years. And he will hold the finger of the child and write in that rice plate, Om first. Then A. Then A. Then E, etc. That is called Aksharabhyasa. And traditionally, unless the Aksharabhyasa is done, the child is not supposed to go to school, not supposed to study anything for that matter. Because I don't know these days how many people follow all these traditional rituals rather. That's why, even alphabet is called Aksharamala. Therefore, a person may take Aksharam as a letter. By adding the adjective Paramam, the greatest and the most supreme Aksharam, Krishna wants to say, do not take the meaning as ordinary alphabet, but take the ultimate imperishable entity. The root, Kshara, is to perish. Ksharati iti Ksharaha. Perishable one is Ksharaha. Akshara means imperishable one. In fact, Brahman is called Aksharam, as I said in Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad students can recall, Ataparayaya tad Aksharam adigamyate. Then there the Aksharam Brahman is described also. Yat adreshyam, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, achakshushrotram, tat apanipadham, nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam, tat avyayam, yat bhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. So in Mundaka Upanishad, Brahman is known by the name Aksharam. And that is referred to here. And what is that principle which is imperishable? There is only one thing that is imperishable. That is Sarvagata Chaitanya Tattvam. Consciousness is the only entity which remains imperishable. All matter is subject to decay and destruction. And that is why, our very body is decaying, dying every moment. Millions of cells are dying and millions of new cells are born. Every moment this is happening in our body. To put it in the 7th chapter language, Apara Prakriti is perishable, Para Prakriti is Chaitanya Tattvam alone is imperishable. Therefore, for the question what is Brahman, the answer is the eternal consciousness is Brahman. And the very word Brahma means Brihat Tamatva Brahma. It is derived from the root Brih to mean big. And Brahma means that which is superlatively big. That which is superlatively limitless entity. Ananta Tattvam is called Brahman. So with this, Krishna has answered the first question very, very briefly. Krishna does not elaborate here because Brahman has been talked about as Paraprakriti in the 7th chapter. So therefore, if you want to know more about Brahman, Krishna says, go back to the 7th chapter, Paraprakriti topic, and from verse number 4 to 10, you can go back and see that topic in detail. And because Krishna's teaching in the 8th chapter begins with the word Aksharam Brahma, the very chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga. As I said in the beginning itself, Aksharam Brahma Yoga is not another type of yoga like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc. The word yoga, which is used at the end of each chapter of Bhagavad Gita, means the topic. So here Akshara Brahma Yoga means the topic of Akshara Brahma. Chapter does not begin with that word, isn't it? Whereas chapter begins with Arjuna's questions, Kim Tad Brahma, etc. But Krishna's teaching begins with Akshara Brahma Paramam. And therefore the chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga. Then Krishna comes to the second question. What was the second question? What is Adhyatmam? Krishna says, Swabhavaha Adhyatmam Uchyate. The very all-pervading consciousness must be existing within the individual body also. If it is pervading this entire universe, it should pervade the individual body also. And when the consciousness is seen within the body, that is called Adhyatmam or Adhyatmam. So here the word Atma means Shariram. So Adhyatma means obtaining within the body. Thus, consciousness looked from the angle, from the standpoint of Samashti or total, is called Brahma. When the very same consciousness is looked from the standpoint of the individual body, it is called Adhyatmam. So here the word Swabhavaha means the inner essence, the consciousness within. Brahman is Paramatma. Adhyatmam is Jivatma. Brahman is the consciousness from macro angle. Adhyatmam is consciousness from micro angle. Consciousness is the same. Two different words are used because two different terms of reference. And this very common for us also, isn't it? A person remaining the same when he is looked upon from the standpoint of wife, he is called the husband. When the same person is looked from the standpoint of children, he is called father or parent. And when looked upon from the standpoint of the parent, he himself is called the son or child. So how can one and the same person be called father, son, grandfather, husband, brother, etc.? This is called Shabda Prakriti Nimittam in technical language. In simple English, the point of reference. When the point of reference differs, the nama, the name also differs. Thus, consciousness is called Paramatma. Consciousness is called Jivatma, depending upon macro or micro point of reference. So with this, the second question is also answered. Then what is the third question? What is karma? Krishna gives the answer. Bhuta bhava udbhava karaha visargaha. Visargaha refers to all activities. All the deliberate activities of human beings which are responsible for the future creation is called karma. Because according to our scriptures, creation is not an accident. Creation is a clean incident caused by previous factors or action. For if I am born here with a physical body, it is not an accident. It is the result of my own past karma. Similarly, each one of you are born because of your karma. The individual birth is because of individual karma, and the birth of humanity is because of the collective karma of humanity. And therefore, Krishna says, Bhuta Bhava, Bhuta Bhavaha. Bhuta Bhavaha means the insistence of living beings. Udbhava Karaha, which brings about. So, Bhuta Bhava Udbhava Karaha means that which brings about the existence of every living being. Not only humans. Even a mosquito is there with a mosquito body because of its karma. A dinosaur is there because of its own karma. And not only that karma determines my body, it also determines my parentage. Why should I get such and such parents, wonderful parents or terrible ones, whatever it may be? Why should I get such and such brothers or sisters? All my karma. Why should I be born in India or in the US or in Canada or in UK or in the Middle East, anywhere? All because of my karma. Of course, if you are born in India, some people say it is your bad karma. Some people say it's good karma. I don't want to qualify anything. But one thing is certain. It is because of your karma, even the place of birth is determined. And it is the karma, because of which I get a set of parents and my parents get me as their child because of their karma. And similarly, because of my karma, I get wonderful students like you. I should say it is because of my good karma. And You get a teacher like me because of, you can decide a good karma or bad karma. So, thus everything that happens is the result of our own actions. And when you take the creation as a whole, we say the present creation is the result of the past creation. And the past creation is the result of its own past creation. And the future creation will be the result of the present creation. Therefore, what is karma? Srishti Karanam Karma. Therefore, remember, the creation has come into being not because of Bhagavan's wish. The creation has come to being because we have asked for it. And therefore, never put the blame on Bhagavan's head. Bhagavan is not responsible for the creation. Even though he is Jagat Karanam, he is only an instrument. And based upon the collective karma of all the jivas in the previous creation, Bhagavan is also compelled to create a creation or bring about a creation which will, to some extent, help the jivas to exhaust those past karmas. So the type of creation and the necessity of creation is because I have asked for it by my own good, bad, mixed actions. Punyena punyam lokam bhavati, papena papam bhavati. Ubhayam eva manushya bhavati. Manushya lokam. So if 14 lokas are there, not because Bhagavan wants 14 lokas, but we have done varieties of karmas which require these 14 lokas. So we do such terrible action, terrible karmas necessitating a karma, naraka environment. And also we do wonderful actions necessitating a wonderful Swarga environment, heaven. And we also manage to mix up good and bad, necessitating the Manushya Lokas. Thus, everything is karma ordered, and therefore, karma is defined as Srishti Karanam. And that is here presented as Bhuta Bhava Udbhava Karaha and Visargaha. And that is called Karma Sangitaha. Sangitaha means is known. Karma Sangitaha means this is known as karma. So with these three questions are answered. Now we will go to the next verse and further questions are answered. Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha Purushachadi Daivatam Adhiyagyo Hame Vatra Dehe Deha Britambara. So the Anvaya is Ksharaha Bhavaha Adhibhutam Cha Purushaha Adhidaivatam Aham Eva Atra Dehe Adhiyagyaha Deha Britambara. Charabhavaha, the perishable creation, Atibhutam, is Atibhuta. Chap Purushaha and Hiranyagarbha, Adidaivam, is Adidaiva. Ahameva, I myself, Atra Dehe, who resides in this body, Adiyagyaha, am Adiyagnya. Deha Britambara, of the embodied. So the perishable creation is Adhibhuta And Hiranyagarbha is Adidaiva. I myself who reside in the body am Adiyajna, the best of the embodied. So Krishna answers three more questions here. Adibhutam Kim? What is Adibhutam? Krishna says every perishable thing in the creation is called Adibhutam. Charaha Bhavaha. Bhavaha means an entity. Thus, any object that you experience is Adibhutam. Because it is Charaha. So Charaha is opposed to Aksharaha, which we have seen before. Akshara means imperishable, Charaha means perishable. So then all the five Panchabhutas, the five elements come under Adibhutam. The sun, moon, the stars, etc. all come under Adibhutam. Even rivers, mountains, they all come under Adibhutam. Even our own physical bodies come under Adibhutam because the bodies are also perishable. Kshara bhavaha. And that is why, unconsciously we keep on looking for security. How to protect this body from being, perishable. Even though we know, we realize that death is inevitable, we try to prolong the death by as many ways as possible. And because the body is perishable, all our insecurity comes from that. Because if the body is imperishable, we do not require any security. It will always be there. Therefore, the entire perishable material world is called Adibhutam. So Krishna has answered the fourth question. Now he goes on to the fifth question. What is Adidaivam? Krishna defines Adidaivam as Purushaha. Here the word Purushaha means Hiranyagarbha. And Hiranyagarbha in Shastric language means the total consciousness associated with total mind. And therefore associated with total knowledge. If you remember Tattva Bodha, Samashti Sukshma Sharira Sahita Chaitanyam is Hiranyagarbha. Consciousness associated with the total subtle body. So if you do not know or remember what is subtle body, of course that's not the case. You all know what is subtle body. We can take it as mind also. And therefore we can say consciousness associated with the total mind is called Hiranyagarbha. And that Hiranyagarbha alone is called the presiding deity from the standpoint of every organ. So presiding deity of the eye is Surya Devata. Chakshusha Surya. Presiding deity of ears is what Devata? Srotasya Dik Devata. Thus we have got presiding deities of every organ. All the presiding deities put together they are called Hiranyagarbha. And that Hiranyagarbha is called Adidaivam. But if you go back to flashback, Tattva Bodha, all these, which organ, which is the presiding deity, all that we have discussed. So that is the next question. Then the fifth question. What is or who is Adiyajna? Krishna says, Aham eva. Aham means Krishna, the Lord himself. Ishvara is Adiyajna. And what is the definition of Ishvara? Again, go back to Tattva Bodha. Ishvara is defined as consciousness associated with the total Karana Prapancha. What is the definition of Karana Prapancha? The whole universe in potential form. So before creation evolves, whole creation existence in potential form, otherwise called Shakti, otherwise called Maya. And that Shakti or Maya plus consciousness is called Ishvara. And who is that Ishvara? Krishna said, do not look here and there. I am that Ishvara. I am the cause of the entire universe. Therefore, Adhiyajnaha Ahameva, I am the seed of the universe. And that Lord alone in Puranic symbolism, they say, after Pralaya comes, when everything is unmanifest, then on the leaf of a banyan tree, the infant Lord Krishna floats. Must all have seen, this beautiful infant Krishna on a banyan leaf. Very, very famous image of Krishna. So what does the water and the banyan leaf represent? It is nothing but the seed form of the universe. And the Lord Krishna represents the consciousness principle. Water is the seed form of the universe. And Krishna is consciousness. So consciousness plus potential universe is called Ishvara. In scientific language, we can say consciousness plus basic energy is Ishvara. So with this, the sixth question is also answered. Now, can you differentiate between Adhidaivam and Adhiyajnam? Very simple. Remember, Samashti Sukshma Sharira Sahita Chaitanya means Adhidaivam. Samashti Karana Sharira Sahita Chaitanya means Adhiyajna. Hiranya Garbha is Adhidaivam and Ishvara is Adhiyajna. And Arjuna has asked an additional question also. Where does the Lord reside? Where can I find him? Krishna says, Atra Dehe, Dehabhritam Vara. So, Arjuna addressed Krishna as Madhusudana. And Krishna says, I will also address you as Dehabhritam Vara, the greatest human being. Vara means greatest. There is no loss in saying, so that Arjuna will be happy, And it is true also. Arjuna was a very great person. Isn't it? I mean, to read Mahabharata, the accomplishments of Arjuna, unique, great accomplishments. So he says, oh Arjuna, the greatest one, the Lord resides in everybody. In fact, this theme Krishna will repeat in the 10th chapter. He will say, Aham Atma Guda Kesha Sarva Bhuta Shayastitah. And again in the 18th chapter, he will say, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hirdeshe Arjuna Tishtati. And because the Lord resides in every being, the Lord is called Narayana. Naram means all living beings. Naranam, Jivanam, Samuha Naram. Naram is not a Tamil word, it's a Sanskrit word. Naram in Tamil means something else. Here, Naram means Jiva Samuha. And Ayanam means what? Ayanam means the abode, residence. So every living being is the residence of the Lord. Therefore, where is the Lord? Atra dehe vartate. Prajna rupena, prajna rupena. Again, if you remember Tattva Bodha, Vishwa Taijasa and Prajna. Prajna rupena Ishwaraha asmin dehe vartate. Then someone can ask, if God is there in the body, now who is there in this Kailasha, Vaikunta, etc.? Is Bhagavan not there? Our answer is, he is there also. But Lord is everywhere. And Lord happens to be in the body, in the heart also. And that is why he is known as Adhiyajna. Adhiyajna means residing in the heart. You can translate that way. The Lord associated with every action you do. Because the very word yajna means every prayer or puja or action that we do. And in what way the Lord is associated with our yajnas, our pujas? He is associated in two ways. He is the one who is enabler of the pujas. It is because of God's grace that we actually do the puja. We get at least the noble thought that we should do puja. We wish to pray. And as we saw in the 7th chapter, he is also the receiver of the puja. So Bhagavan plays dual role. And actually, in fact, there is one more role. Not only is the receiver of the puja, he is also giver of the puja phalam. That is also he mentioned in the 7th chapter, isn't it? Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम्. He said that. So any puja done by anyone, I receive. I receive the puja. I give the karma phalam. Therefore, yajna bhoktru rupena and karma phala dhatru rupena, as a receiver of the puja and as the giver of the result, I remain in the heart of everyone. And therefore you need not bother. You need not worry. Oh, I am doing so many punya karmas. Whether all these punya karmas, excuse me, all my good actions will be registered in God's diary or recorded in his computer or not. Because you may say, God is very far away, whether he is having his eyes on me or not. With so many people, huge population, how can God keep track of what is everyone doing? Do not think like that. Do not think that each and every action will not be visible to him because of that. Every small action you do, good or bad, it is immediately registered. And the Lord, according to the law of karmas, will punch the result and punch your nose also if required, as Swami Paramatmananda says. And therefore, every experience you go through is karma phalam coming from the Lord. And that's why many of you may remember, when we were children, we will be advised by our parents not to do any wrong deeds, not to tell lies, not to trouble anybody, not to kill or trouble even ants, animals, etc. Why? There they cannot give all this explanation about Bhagavad Gita. They will say, because Bhagavan is watching you. If you do wrong things, Bhagavan will punish you. That is how we put the fear of God in our mind. But of course, that is relevant for that age. As we grow up, we must understand, when we say Bhagavan is watching you, it is the Bhagavan within you who is watching. Every action is known to your manas and your buddhi. They are in fact the instigators of action. So every karma gets recorded straight away in our own, in the hard disk which we carry, the Karana Sharira. Everything gets recorded. So we need not worry whether this will give me punyam, so punya phalam, etc. And therefore, when we are totally into it, when for a Vedic person, every experience is my karma phalam. Therefore, I cannot complain to anyone. I cannot even ask the question, why me? Why this suffering is coming to me? Why this enjoyment comes? They are all irrelevant questions. I am reaping the result of my own action, but I do not remember all those past actions. One way it is good also. Many of us, of course, we do not remember what happened yesterday. Where is the question of remembering what you have done in the past janmas? Or even past in this janma and past janmas. But non-remembrance does not mean non-performance. That is to be understood. Whether I remember or not, what I have done, and therefore I have to clearly pay the price. Given by whom? Aavignidhi. So we can say finally Aavignidhi means karma phala data. So with this, the sixth question is also answered. Now the seventh question is taken up. We will read verse number 5. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yav prayati samadbhavah samadbhavam yati tas yat yati nasyatra samshayah. Sometimes remembering it becomes a little difficult. So the Anvaya is Muktva Kalevaram Antakalecha Saha Yaha Prayati Smaram Mam Eva Yati Madbhavam Samshaya Na Asti Atra. We'll see the word meanings. Muktva Kalevaram, dropping the body. Antakalecha, at the time of death. Saha, one. Yaha prayati, departs. Smaran mameva, remembering me alone. Yati madbhavam, attains my nature. Samshayah na asti, there is no doubt. Atraha, in this regard. So dropping the body at the time of death, or we can say at the time of dropping the body during death, one who departs remembering me alone attains my nature. There is no doubt in this regard. So in the previous two verses, 3 and 4, Krishna answered all 6 questions very briefly. Now Krishna wants to answer the 7th question very elaborately. In fact, the rest of the chapter beginning with this verse number 5, up to the last verse 28, Krishna is answering the 7th question only. So imagine, For six questions, 2 verses, and for one question, 5 to 28, 24 verses, both inclusive. Do not ask how 24, why is he taking 24? Because by way of answering this question, Krishna wants to introduce an important topic of Upasana, Ishvara Upasana, Saguna Brahma Dhyanam, which I already told you. We will see more in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyawad hai everyone.
ధన్యవాదాలు జీ.
Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om
Hari
Guruji.
Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, Ramuji, what's your question?
Regarding that, you said about that Kulashekara Alvar. There is another.
Yeah.
There is another sloka, another pashuram in Tamil.
Oh.
Tupudayare Yedayavadallam,
Yeah.
Shor
I know that, but I
Vidutunu.
didn't want to use Tamil because many people here don't.
I know that. I just remember. And regarding the other sloka of that Krishna and the banyan leaf, Kararavindena Mugaravindam Mugaravinde Palasya Patrasya Pudeshayanam Balam Mukundam Manasasmarami.
Mukunda.
That's-
So that's there. I mean, there are so many. I mean, if you start quoting, class will not end. So there is so much there. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yeah. So any other question?
Guruji, namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
It's a question, but I don't think there's an answer in the sense this has been discussed earlier also. You said our own karmas are the reason for the creation. Lord didn't create at his own will or at his own whims and fancy. Yeah, subsequent creations, yes, but the first creation has to be his will, isn't it, Guruji? Whenever it happened. We don't know when it happened.
Yeah, that is there in the Upanishads, the Taittiriya Upanishads also. He wished to create. So again, the question is, we are going back in circles. What do you mean by first creation? It is beginningless. You don't know what is first creation.
Yeah.
Theoretically, you are assuming because your mind has been so much, what I would say, oriented, that if there is something now, it has got to have a beginning, right? Shastra is time and again saying it is beginningless, beginningless, beginningless. It is a cycle. The creation is a cycle. Where will you spot the initial point in a cycle? You tell me. You are all science students, intelligent people. Suppose I put a circle, you say, which is the starting point? You can't say. So the question of first creation doesn't arise in the context of our Shastra. It is your basic thinking is flawed that according to our Shastra, there is some first creation. There is only creation. Every cycle is a creation cycle. And our Shastra talks about from a, as we say, Kalpam, then there are, various time zones which the Shastra talks about. It starts with Brahmaji's, 2 half days rather. The day of Brahma, night of Brahma. That's all. That is the starting. Now, when Brahmaji was created by Bhagavan, first Brahmaji was created. Nobody knows. Shastra said, don't ask that question. As a Vedanta student, it is irrelevant for you when the creation came. Why are you asking such questions? The Shastra says, it is what you ask question, what is Brahman and how do I understand Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi? That is the only question which a Vedantic student, which is a Mumukshu, who is looking for the fourth Purushartha, fulfillment of the Moksha Purushartha, should be asking. All other questions regarding creation, this, that, and all, irrelevant, unnecessary for the purpose. You understand what is consciousness, understand you are that consciousness, and abide in that understanding. That is what is the whole Shastra from Vedantic point is. So, question is relevant only, but not for us. For some researchers go on researching, they will never ever able to find what is the beginning of the creation. Because it is a cycle. First point you will not get at all. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think if you start asking those questions, it's never ending, and but nor is there any answer for those.
And no use also. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Suppose I tell you creation started in so and so BC. What are you going to do with that information?
No, I was only with reference to the karma, that yes, we are born because of our own karma, where we are born, our parentage, our place, and various other things which go with that, which because of our karma. But so again, the question comes: so why did
the beginningless again? Anadi, Ananta, right? Because this karma is also Ananta. It will go on and on and on. Creation after creation, the jiva will be born again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam will go on. There is only one way to get rid of the karma. What is that? Moksha Purushartha.
Yes, Guruji.
That's all. So if you want to put an end to your own cycle, you will not be able to put an end to the cycle of creation, but our own cycle, you can put an end to it. That is in your hands. That you can do. So we'll escape. You will become one with Paramatma. You will be the creator.
Yeah, by realizing that you are the creator. Yes.
Realizing that you are the creator. The whole world, whole universe, Prapancha exists because of me. That realization. Instead of saying, I am part of the universe, he said, the whole universe exists because of me. They exist in me. I am the consciousness which is powering this entire creation. That is the understanding finally we will have to reach. Okay.
Yeah, probably there's not even me and you there, isn't it, Guruji? Because there's just
There is
one.
me and you.
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the sake of saying this aham and all that and tat, tvam, etc. But there is no you and me. There is only one.
One.
That is Advaitam, consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is a Napumsakalingam. The word Brahman is Napumsakalingam. It is not a he or a she. Right?
And it is Satchidananda. And that is why we are saying that it is everlasting happiness.
Yes. Everlasting happiness.
And whatever you feel that you are getting happiness out of something, it is nothing but it is a superimposition of your own happiness. It's
Correct.
a reflective happiness.
Reflective happiness. Correct. Absolutely right. Because our Swarupa Ananda is getting reflected in our mind, in our Antakaranam, we experience happiness. That's all. And what is the condition for reflection? Condition for reflection is fulfillment. The moment you feel you are fulfilled, then that reflection happens. Unfortunately, if that fulfillment thought continues, then you will be permanently happy.
Correct.
What happens? Today, for a moment, I feel fulfilled, I am happy. Then I again become unfulfilled. Some more desire come. So then that is becoming unhappiness. Rather, though the reflection vanishes. Like that, it goes on and on and on.
Correct.
That's how.
When the I and minus is gone, I-ness and minus is gone, then nothing to complain about. Everything to be accepted.
Exactly. Exactly.
Namaste,
Okay.
Guruji.
Thank you,
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Yes, Ajay.
So, Guruji, then once I realize that I am the consciousness, it is Brahmatma or it is Adhyatma? How to
Paramatma.
differentiate?
Paramatma.
Then what is this two here first and second Brahmatma and Adhyatma are differently addressed. How to relate to
Adhyatma, I
Paramatma.
told you, is Jivatma.
Yeah.
Jivatma.
So
Jivatma
Jivatma is
is
not.
the reflection of the Paramatma in your Antakaranam. Because of which
Huh.
you are taking yourself to be the Jivatma. You actually are not Jivatma. You are Paramatma only.
Acha.
But because you are understanding or misunderstanding yourself to be the Jivatma, that is what he explained. Adhyatma means what? Adhyatma means you Jivatma. That is what he is explaining. So, this entire concept of Jivatma, Adhyatma, etc. are all Mithya concepts. They are all
Acha.
mere superimpositions of our own, thinking on something which is called consciousness, our real Swarupa. And coming to Jivatma is later. First of all, we take ourselves to be the body, mind, sense complex. Don't even reach that stage of reflected consciousness. Before that, we think, oh, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the Antakarana. That is what we think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So first you have to cross that. Then you have to come to the Jivatma stage. You have to cross the Jivatma stage, and then finally you will understand, realize you are Paramatma. There is no
Paramatma.
difference
Yes.
between Paramatma and you.
Yeah. Beautifully
The
explained.
whole process.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Bahunam Janmanamante. At the end of so many janmas, it will happen.
Okay. Okay, Guruji. Beautifully explained. Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
That is the Jiveshwara Aikyam.
Yeah. Right.
Hari Om Guruji. Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank you all. So we will continue in the next class. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank
Hari Om.
you.